Turns out there was already DEI in the FAA during the Obama years. Who would have thought? Can the United States deport someone who they don't like if they're just here on a visa or a green card? Well, some legality says, yeah, I think we can. Also, the LA mayor has deleted a bunch of her texts when the media is asking for them. All that and more coming up on this episode of Turning Point Tonight. My name is Joe Bob, and together we are charting the course of America's cultural comeback. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Turning Point Tonight. Remember, you can always email the show at tpt@tpusa.com. Whether or not you agree with us or you're wrong, if your email is abhorrent and gross and disgusting and awful, we will probably read it on this show. First things first, though, we won't delete emails or text communications, unlike LA Mayor Karen Bass. The LA Times, definitely not a conservative right-wing media outlet, has asked for the text messages of LA Mayor Karen Bass in the whole wake of the LA fires. The problem is, those text messages have been deleted. Oh no, where have we seen this one before? I wonder if she kept them on a private server. An attorney for the city has said, well, this is, standard practice. The mayor has her text messages set to auto-delete. The problem is, city code says that, well, she can't do that. And on top of that, the state actually has a law that says that city and government officials have to keep their text message communications for up to 2 years. Despite all of that, there has been no luck getting any of the text messages that LA Mayor Karen Bass sent, probably from Ghana, during the LA fires. Here to comment on that and a bunch more is our awesome panel for today, Primetime Stein and The Cho Show. Both have fantastic nicknames, Alex Stein and Jonathan Cho, Frontlines reporter. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Alex, we'll start with you. What could possibly be the reason that the LA mayor is deleting texts, or at least, at the very least, refusing to turn over those texts to the media? What could she be hiding?
Well, Joe Bob, what's going to happen is the cover-up is worse than the crime. I'm sure the text messages were bad, but we know that she was warned that they didn't have enough resources if there was a wildfire. Like, we already know this. And now the fact that she's covering it up, it's going to make it 10 times worse. It's going to have a Streisand effect, because now we're like, well, what did she say? What did she know? So, it just shows you that we don't have transparency when it comes to our elected officials. And Karen Bass is the worst mayor that LA could have elected. They needed somebody that actually is different instead of the same old politician that's just going to basically rob the taxpayers and enable homelessness and just make the city an absolute disaster. When there was a short time ago, when Los Angeles was the coolest city in the country. And now I don't even want to go there for vacation.
Yeah, you don't want to get stabbed with a needle or anything else floating around LA. Jonathan, this would be up to the new DA of Los Angeles County, Nathan Hochman, and or it could be prosecuted at the state level. Given the fact that you live in also a deep blue state in Washington, do you think that the super far lefties in the city level and also at the state level have the cojones, for lack of a better term, to actually prosecute if, in fact, they deem the text message deletion to be illegal?
Yeah, I think it's still so early in this process, but here's the bottom line. Beyond some of the legal ramifications here for Mayor Karen Bass, she's now dealing with a credibility and leadership problem. No doubt that these texts were exchanged. In fact, a Los Angeles supervisor recently came out and also put out their version of this text exchange. So something was shared, and it essentially shows that Bass dismissed in many ways the seriousness of what was happening. Bass was, seen texting, saying, and being asked, hey, do you need anything else? Do you need any help? And, Bass then says, no, I think we're going to be just fine. So I think that in and of itself shows that Bass underestimated the significance of the fires. And right now, again, we really do need to hear her side of the story. So as far as prosecution, I don't think it's going to happen. We've seen something similar to this in Seattle during the height of BLM. Mayor Jenny Durkin also deleted texts from her phone, and she was never prosecuted. She paid a fine, but was never prosecuted.
Yeah, I think the punishment could be up to $1,000 and a year in jail, or a year in jail, possibly even both. I wonder if that'll ever happen. Probably not. Moving on to a more serious, I guess, ish fare, but this whole thing at Columbia University, where they've got the student visa, the Hamas protester guy, Mahmoud Khalid. Was it Mahmoud Khalid? Khalil, there we go.
Mhm.
Being taken up by ICE slash immigration and being threatened to be deported. So the administration has said, well, he's not really committed a crime. And I think it was categorized best by this tweet from Bill Malugin of Fox News, in which he said, it doesn't matter if Khalil's been charged with a crime. It's not required under Section 237A, 4C, all of the different numbers, which is a statute that Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, is using, which gives him broad discretion. Was used in 1995 under the Clinton administration to also have people who didn't necessarily commit a crime still be deported, which, if you remember, in 1995, the Clintons were not conservative Republicans. They were Democrats. They were normal Democrats. Alex, is this gone on a little bit too far in terms of whether or not this is free speech or it's, just trying to keep pro-terrorists out of the country?
Well, obviously, I respect everybody's right to protest peacefully. So even though I disagree with him ideologically, I agree with his right to protest. But listen, if you're not an American citizen, you're not promised the same rights as an American citizen. So if you come here and we deem your behavior bad, I mean, I'm sorry, that's just how it works. We have a country with rules and laws. And even if he didn't necessarily break a law, if the government feels that he is unsafe, we have a thing called the Patriot Act. I mean, there are things in place to stop people that might potentially be a threat to our country. So I'm not surprised. And unfortunately, he's got to go. If you're an immigrant and you're causing trouble, I hate to say it, and I want you to be here, but I want you to come here the right way, and I want you to come here and not cause a bunch of problems. So, I'm really not that empathetic, but I do feel like anybody should have the right to protest, no matter what issue they're protesting.
Yeah, and it feels like regardless of where you fall in this position, it's great as a country to kind of wrestle through those ideas of, what is free speech versus, what is a threat to the country. Jonathan, I want to play this clip from New York with Tom Homan walking through a corridor and being yelled at by a guy who's running for New York City mayor, and get your reaction to this. Watch this. That guy's obviously trying to gain some attention, yelling at Tom Homan, which doesn't feel like a good idea. I don't think Tom Homan's a guy that you should yell at indiscriminately. Bill Malugin also said the guy Khalil has not been disappeared. You can look him up on an inmate locator for ICE. You can see exactly where he's being held. Overall reaction, do you think it's, one, a good idea to yell at Tom Homan? And two, are they mischaracterizing this on the lefty side of the aisle?
Yeah, well, first of all, Tom Homan doesn't care, and he's already said that. He has a job to do. He was brought in by the Trump administration to essentially deport millions of illegals in this country, and especially the criminals, the ones who have committed violent crimes and have been convicted of that. And that's what he's doing right now. So that official or candidate, rather, who's running, was just trying to put on a show and a circus, trying to get some attention. So again, I don't think that really phases Tom Homan. Otherwise, this is a complicated legal situation right now. We haven't seen this type of situation play out really publicly. So I think it could set some type of legal precedent. But again, I think, the Trump administration has the right to deport people who want to essentially incite riots, and who have essentially called for the obliteration of Western civilization. We're seeing violent rhetoric from this guy, and at the very least, that needs to be scrutinized.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Speaking of the Trump administration, everybody's been aware of this story about the International Space Station. These two astronauts go up in June of 2024, originally for an 8-day mission. Something goes wrong. They've been up there ever since. Elon Musk and SpaceX are set to launch a rescue mission tomorrow. Alex, at the time when those astronauts were stuck up there originally, Elon says that he was talking to Joe Biden and the Biden administration and his NASA department and was saying, hey, we can go up and do this. And they got denied. Do we think that the denial of Elon's SpaceX to rescue those astronauts were politically motivated, or was it the fact that Joe Biden has always been we better not, that seems too dangerous? Remember, he was the only one in the room to say no when the Obama administration took out Osama bin Laden. Which one do you think it was?
I don't think it takes Captain Obvious to realize that Joe Biden didn't want Elon Musk, who is Donald Trump's current best friend, you could argue, to be the hero. But when it comes to Joe Biden, it's crazy how you can have a Venezuelan terrorist, right? Come to the border, claim asylum, you get a free hotel room in Manhattan. But instead of deporting him, he deported our astronauts to outer space. He's deporting the wrong people. You know what I mean? Like they don't get to. You shouldn't kick them out of the country. We're trying to bring them back in. It's not that hard of a, concept to understand. But of course, Joe Biden's senile, poor guy.
Yeah, hey, don't. I almost did a spit take there. That would have been all bad. I was drinking coffee and talking about deporting astronauts. No, I love it. Jonathan, speaking of Elon, you're in Seattle. You've seen kind of the rioters all around there lighting Tesla Cybertrucks on fire. What is your take being on the ground in those areas where Elon's being protested for, in my opinion, being pro-America?
Yeah, look, I mean, we're seeing the hypocrisy from the left on full display. This is the group that loved Elon before he aligned with Trump. They were buying Teslas, saying we need to go EV. And now that Elon is essentially saving taxpayer dollars by, gutting, waste at the government level, they've all turned on him. And it's really, showing the true colors of the far left, especially. We're seeing Antifa, we're seeing far left activists again, causing destruction and violence, destroying Cybertrucks, lighting them on fire. I've reported on already 2 serious incidents this week, and one of the most egregious ones was, again, a Trump hater and a Musk hater buying a Tesla and then trashing it with a pickaxe just to prove a point. So, I mean, at the very least, there's a lot of mental illness going on right now on the left.
Man, that takes a decent amount of cash to buy one of those things just to trash it. I wonder if they're a rich liberal elite trust fund kid. Alex, Jonathan, appreciate you. Our panel will be back to discuss the DEI that was going on in the FAA during the Obama administration. After the break, we'll also check in with Monica Page, Turning Point's White House correspondent. Right after this, don't go away. We'll be right back.